Hey friends, I'm back. It's Deke here. We're going to be talking about the new Helix scrap metal vinyl that came out January 23rd, just a few weeks ago. And as you can tell, I ordered this straight from Brian Vollmer's Planet Helix webpage. He has different combos. You can order it in vinyl, CD. He has some of his Vollmer solo stuff printed up on vinyl that you can get and all that stuff. But I have to say, check out that cover. First of all, we're going to go through this record and some other Helix stuff I got. So there they are on the construction site back in the 80s, calling the album scrap metal. And I'll tell you right now, these are pretty damn good scrap tracks, if you're going to call them that. I mean, holy crap, they hit the ball out of the park with this one. But anyways, here's the back cover. And if you can see there, sides A and B, the difference between the vinyl and the CD is the vinyl has 10 songs. The CD has 2 bonus tracks. If you purchase that, it has The Same Room, a tune written by an Ontario band called Sire, I think back in the 80s, and The Pusher, which is a cover tune of Steppenwolf. But I have to say, I paid 35 Canadian for this. Brian sent it out so fast that I actually got it a week before the actual street date that this came out. Like, there's no pissing about, and great service. And Canada Post actually came through. There's no getting around Canada Post, folks. So you have to kind of bite the bullet on the postage. I think in the States, I've seen Brian in some interviews say Paris Records, you can order the CD through them. So if you're somehow watching this in the States, check out their website. I have to say that they went all out with the packaging. Now, here you go on the inner sleeve. You got the lyrics for all the songs, all 10 tracks, even the vinyl. It's got a nice orangey reddish color to it. And I have to say that this is such a great listen because 8 of the 10 tracks on the vinyl release are co-written with the late, great Paul Hackman, who, along with Brian, wrote a ton of great Helix tracks back in the 80s. So it was good to see them, go back into their vaults, I guess, and rework up some of these tunes. And, speaking of the tunes, how about the opener, Stuck in the 80s? I mean, I think we're all stuck in the 80s, but Brian and Sean Kelly from Coney Hatch and Lee Aaron co-wrote this tune with Brian, and it's stellar. It could have easily have slid on side 1 of Walking the Razor's Edge from 84. And, you continue into the album Fast and Furious, which is the second track. It's like Helix doing Motorhead. Hot, Heavy, and Wild has a typical catchy Helix choruses from the 80s. I mean, this album is so good. And the best thing is some of these tracks feature the big Helix lineup from the 80s, with Brent the Dr. Dorner on guitar, Daryl Gray on bass, the late great Fritz Hines on drums. They really went all out on this record. So it's like the whole history of the band is in these tracks, including the new guys. So, you flip it in over to side 2, you got Jaws of the Tiger. I have to say that right now, currently, Coming Back with Bigger Guns is my favorite track. Every day a song changes on this record, just how much I dig it. Kudos to Daryl Gray doing some pretty cool bass lines at the end of the track, and it's so catchy, man. I really hope they release this one as a single. Tie Me Down is track 9. It's a bit of a ballad, and Brian can sing a great ballad. He can also let it rip on a song like Fast and Furious. I mean, the dude's 70 years old, and he's just like balls out still, and that's the great thing. It's like Helix hasn't aged, and we've all aged, but it's just their sound, and this record has all their sound. And the last track ending the record is called Closer, and it's fantastic. A great beat to it, great tempo, just so catchy. And that's the thing, Helix had great lead and background vocals. They also had a great 2-guitar lineup back in the 80s with Brent Dorner and Paul Hackman, and those guys should have been talked about in the realms of other bands with 2 lead guitars. But anyways, scrap metal does them a lot of justice. And I have to tell you, that's not it for the packaging with this record. You get the old school HELIX picture of the classic 80s band, and then you open it up, and there's the current band. You can see all the guys that are helping out. They even got Brent Dorner in the back there. You can see, and yeah, you get all the credits, and shit, man, you cannot beat this for $35. Not only that, you remember back in the early 1990s, there's a thing called rock cards where they're like baseball cards. Well, the boys have stepped up, and we got rock cards, but HELIX style. Not only that, the guys autographed them. So there's Mark Chichkan. I hope I said your name right. I apologize. And there's Chris on lead guitar. These guys are in the current band. I got a former member, Caleb Duck. And like I said, all these cards are signed, and they are totally like baseball cards. They even got the stats of the guys in the band, how long they've been in the band, influences, what they play, their equipment, what year they were born, and whatnot. And there's Jamie Constant, who's the current drummer. Now we get into the Dr. Dorner. Now that's a pretty cool pick, man. And as you can see, is John Henry, and there's his stats on the back. Then we get into Sean Kelly. As I mentioned earlier, he co-wrote, I think about maybe 3 or 4 tunes on this record, and plays on it. He does all the guitars, I believe, on Stuck in the 80s, so you'll get a sample of John, and that's why bands like Coney Hatch and Lee Aaron want him part of the band. Also, Daryl Gray, who's been along for the ride with Brian for a lot of years, and the man himself, Brian Vollmer. Such a cool idea. I had no idea. I saw that the cards were part of the vinyl package, but I thought you had to buy one of the combos to get it. But nope, it was all in here for 35 Canadian. So, for me, growing up in the 80s, HELIX was one of those bands who, I'm here in Thunder Bay, and a lot of bands would blow us off, but HELIX always showed up to town. And, if you have a chance at coming across these records, you gotta pick them up, because this is a lot of great music on these early HELIX records. This one's kind of cool. I got this one. I think it's an European single. You can see those, Everybody Pays the Price and Breaking Loose. So yeah, it's a pretty cool little, I don't even know if you'd call it an EP or an extended 45, so to speak. And here's the big one that kind of kicked them off here in North America, Walking the Razor's Edge, of course, with Rock You, Make Me Do Anything You Want. There's a lot of good tunes on here. And When the Hammer Falls, that is like a kicker of a track. And yeah, there we go. There's the boys in the band. That's the classic 80s lineup, as you can see. Also, we got Long Way to Heaven from 1986, was it? Oh, I apologize, 1985. And this is when HELIX went from being an opener in Canada. They were playing arenas, and they would show up to Thunder Bay, as I mentioned earlier. And on this tour, they showed up with Honeymoon Suite. And that was a great show at the Gardens here. And, they were playing, I know in Thunder Bay here, our Gardens holds 5,000, and it was packed for them. So, they had a bit of a run here playing the rinks. And, of course, this one had The Kids Are All Shaken, Deep Cuts the Knife, good old fun tune, sing-along tune, Ride the Rocket. And the title track, Long Way to Heaven, is a very, very well lyrically clever written song. So you come across this one, check it out. And also, the last one that they did for the major labels, I believe in the States, for Capitol EMI, is a lot of people's personal favorites. And I can flip-flop between a few of these records as my favorite, but there's no mistake. This one kicks ass. Wild in the Streets. You know, they went over to England and they recorded with Mike Stone and I believe Neil Kernan. Of course, the big song on here was the video for Wild in the Streets. Dream On, they did the cover by Nazareth. I love What You Bring Into the Party, High Voltage Kicks. So much good HELIX stuff on this record. Love Hungry Eyes, She's Too Tough, which is a song written by Def Leppard. And if you see some interviews with Brian, he gets into how they ended up recording it. And he sings this song in a real high register, which, you know, he should explain the story. And you end it with Bend Over, Kiss Your Ass, Goodbye. And last not least, but last year I picked up HELIX. They've been going for 50 years, folks. You know, and I picked up this, and this is another cool package. They reworked some of the songs, Rock You, which they got Todd Kearns and Brent Fitz and Phil X to come on and help them out. And they redid some songs. There's some unplugged stuff, some remastered stuff, radio mixes. This comes with a CD, not only the vinyl and the CD, with 3 bonus tracks. The packaging is very well done. A vinyl mat's included, a gatefold. Brian talks about the songs that are on here. And that's the thing. When they put a package together, HELIX does it right. And like I said, I've always respected the band because they were one of the few bands, as I mentioned earlier, that would always come to Thunder Bay. And for that, whenever they do still come to town, I try and get out and catch them when I can. And also, if anybody comes across this, a book that's now 21 years old that Brian wrote called Give Me an R. And it has a lot of great stuff in here. Like when I first read this and I reread it a few times since, you learn a lot of facts, not only about about HELIX, but you learn the business side. Like when they went and opened for Kiss in Europe in 1983 on the Kiss's Lick It Up tour, when they first dropped the makeup, they had to pay Kiss, I think it was either $30,000 or $35,000 to get on that tour. So, you know, you learn the ups and downs, and it's a very well-written book. There's a picture of Brent Dorner and a couple of guys with Eddie Van Halen, who showed up and jumped up on stage with them one time. And yeah, it's a lot of cool stuff. Brian writes the ups and the downs, and it's a great read. I don't even know if it's in print, but if you come across a copy, definitely get it. So folks, sorry I kind of went on a bit here, but I just thought I would throw it down and give HELIX some love here at the Distortion Den. So yeah, check it out. Scrap metal, worth the money. And I think it's on Amazon here in Canada on CD. But I think if you want the vinyl, you got to go direct through Planet HELIX. All right, folks, that's it. I'm tired of talking, and I hope you enjoyed this. And hey, give me an R.